My dear friends, I welcome you once again to our journey into Shakespeare's Macbeth. I am Lakshmi, your companion in exploring these mysteries of ambition, conscience, and fate. If you are enjoying this series, do remember to subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and encourage this journey to grow brighter with your support. Tonight, let us step into King Duncan's palace at Forres. It is a place filled with music and celebration, yet beneath the gold and laughter, a shadow begins to stir. King Duncan greets his nobles with warmth. He has just received word of Macbeth's victories, and joy fills his heart. He calls Macbeth a worthiest cousin, praising him for his bravery and loyalty. Banquo too is honored for his steadfastness, a man who fights for king and country without asking for reward. All seems harmony, the very image of a grateful king and faithful subjects. Yet Shakespeare never lets peace remain untroubled. Duncan suddenly declares his eldest son Malcolm as the Prince of Cumberland, making him heir to the throne. To the gathered nobles, it feels like a rightful and noble act, a king preparing the future for stability. But to Macbeth, the words fall like a heavy stone across his path. He had begun to imagine, after hearing the witch's prophecy, that fate itself would place the crown upon his head. He believed his valor might carry him forward without resistance. Now, Malcolm stands before him, the official successor. Outwardly, Macbeth remains calm. He bows, he thanks the king, he smiles. But inwardly a storm brews. His thoughts turn dark. The Prince of Cumberland, that is a step on which I must fall down, or else o'erleap, for in my way it lies. He whispers to himself, "Stars, hide your fires, let not light see my black and deep desires." In that private murmur, the truth breaks through. Macbeth already dreams of seizing the crown, even if it means stepping over his king's chosen heir. Duncan, still radiant with kindness, declares that he will spend the night at Macbeth's castle. He trusts, he honors, he loves. But as he walks toward the banquet, he does not see that his most loyal warrior has begun to plot his downfall. At this moment, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson stand as ghostly observers in the hall, watching the scene unfold. Watson shakes his head in disbelief. "Holmes, how strange is the heart of man. Duncan's kindness should have inspired loyalty. Instead, Macbeth takes it as fuel for darker ambition." Holmes, with his piercing gaze fixed upon Macbeth, responds calmly, "That, my dear Watson, is the paradox of human ambition. Alfred Adler spoke of the will to power, the inner drive to rise above others. Praise, which should bring contentment, often breeds restlessness. Macbeth has tasted honor, and it has awakened his hunger for more. The crown, once a distant dream whispered by witches, now gleams before him. And every honor he receives only sharpens his sense that he deserves it." Watson ponders. "It reminds me of Edmond Dante in Dumas's The Count of Monte Cristo. Betrayed and imprisoned, he grows into a man consumed with revenge and ambition. Yet Macbeth's case is more tragic. He has not been betrayed at all. Duncan has given him nothing but love." Holmes nods. "Indeed, Macbeth's torment lies not in betrayal, but in desire. Freud would call this repression. He knows his longing is dark, but he buries it in secrecy, begging the stars to hide their fires. Jung would describe it as his shadow, the unacknowledged part of himself that thirsts for power. It is dangerous precisely because it is denied. When we deny our shadow, it does not vanish. It waits, whispering from the dark corners of our minds." They watch Duncan, his smile gentle. Holmes continues, "Notice Duncan's flaw. He is too trusting. He cannot imagine betrayal from Macbeth, his faithful cousin." A.C. Bradley described Duncan as almost saintly, full of goodness. But as G.K. Chesterton once wrote, "Goodness that is blind may invite its own destruction, like a holy man standing beneath a falling hammer." Shakespeare warns us that trust without caution may open the door to ruin. Watson sighs. Then tragedy comes not only from Macbeth's weakness, but from the very system of kingship. By naming Malcolm as heir, Duncan plants seeds of envy. Macbeth sees himself passed over. The prophecy promised kingship, but now he feels cheated. Holmes replies, "You touch on a modern critique, Watson. Machiavelli wrote that power is never secure. The moment Duncan names Malcolm, he creates a rival's resentment. Shakespeare shows us the instability of monarchy. Loyalty today, ambition tomorrow. rebellion the day after. Power is not stable, it is always contested. Watson reflects on another story. In Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, Raskolnikov convinces himself that murder is justified if it leads to greatness. Macbeth too begins to weave excuses. He says fate will crown him, but at the same time he prepares to act himself. He is already bending his reason to serve his desire. Holmes agrees. Yes, Jean-Paul Sartre would call this the agony of freedom. To be human is to choose, and even refusing to choose is itself a choice. Macbeth wishes fate to do his work, yet his mind races toward murder. This contradiction, believing in destiny yet preparing to act against it, is the furnace where his tragedy is forged. Holmes paces the hall as if measuring every word. When Macbeth says, "Oh, a leap," he reveals more than he knows. To leap is to defy gravity, to risk falling into ruin. Ambition is always such a leap. It tempts us with glory, but it also threatens to destroy us. Shakespeare, centuries before modern psychology, understood the danger of unchecked desire. Watson adds thoughtfully, "This feels modern, Holmes. In our own age, people often achieve comfort, yet still want more. More wealth, more fame, more recognition. Macbeth is not only a Scottish warrior, he is a mirror to us all. When is enough enough? At what point does aspiration turn to destruction?" Holmes pauses. That is precisely why Shakespeare's play endures. The crown is only a symbol. What he truly examines is the human heart, its shadows, its hungers, its self-deceptions. Modern critics like Harold Bloom see Macbeth as the poet of inwardness, a man who narrates his own downfall even as he enacts it. Every soliloquy is a confession, but spoken only to himself, never to the world. Watson, moved, lowers his voice. Then this moment is the first crack in his soul. The prophecy planted the seed, Duncan's honor watered it, and Malcolm's title is the thorn that makes it bleed. The tragedy has begun. Holmes replies, "Yes, Watson, and from this whisper in the dark, 'Stars, hide your fires,' will come storms of blood and ruin." It begins not with a dagger's stroke, but with a thought. My dear friends, we have walked through Duncan's palace and listened to Macbeth's hidden whisper. We have seen how kindness can stir ambition, how loyalty can be broken not by betrayal from without, but by hunger within. This is how Shakespeare teaches us that the human soul is both noble and dangerous. In our next step, we will follow Macbeth home to Inverness, where Lady Macbeth waits, her heart burning with its own fierce dream. Until then, I invite you to subscribe, to share your thoughts in the comments, and to walk beside me as we uncover the deeper meanings of this immortal play.